Hello and welcome to June. This is going to be our first of the monthly releases books. These are ones that I thought sounded good and interesting, or several of them that I knew you guys were going to be looking forward to. Some were a little surprising to me. I knew about a few, but then there was some curveballs. I decided to keep this one by genre. And so I will go from the ones releasing at the beginning to later in the month within that genre, and then we'll go to the next one and do it again. I hope that makes sense. I thought about doing, there's a paw under the door. I thought about doing just like by week, all the genres per week, but then I was like, no, I don't know why. That's what we're doing. I'm working. If this happens to be your first time here, I don't know what my hands are doing either, and this is our first time trying to do this, so hopefully it goes well. And I hope that you find some new books to look forward to coming out in June. Starting us off this month is going to be sci-fi, because there are some very exciting ones that I wish I could pick up. One of them has already released in the UK and probably in a few other abroad places, but it is releasing on June 3rd in the US, and that is Shroud by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Another one. They looked into the darkness, and the darkness looked back. New planets are fair game for asset strippers and interplanetary opportunists, and a commercial mission to a distant star system uncovers a moon that is pitch black, but alive with radioactivity. Its high-gravity, high-pressure, zero-oxygen environment is an anathema to human life, but ripe for exploitation. They named it Shroud. Under no circumstances should a human end up on Shroud's inhospitable surface. But of course, something goes wrong, and a ship crashes into Shroud. And that is what the book is going to be about. And in his true fashion, I cannot wait to examine that one. Also coming out on the 3rd is The Two Lies of Faven Scythe by Megan E. O'Keefe. This is a standalone, which is cool and exciting. It says, a search for a missing person uncovers a galaxy-spanning conspiracy in this thrilling standalone space opera. The Black Celeste is a ghost story, a once legendary spaceship collecting dust in the cosmic graveyard known as the Clutch. Only famed pirate Bitter Amandine knows better, and she'll do anything to never go near it again, no matter the cost. Faven Scythe is a Christborn, a member of the near-human species tasked with charting star paths from station to station. She's trained to be a navigator her entire life, but when her mentor disappears, leaving behind a mysterious star path terminating in the Clutch, she's determined to find the truth, and only Amandine has the answers. Amandine. I don't think I said that one right, but that's very intriguing sounding for that one as well. Pretty much all of our sci-fis are coming out on the 3rd, because I also have one by another author I've never read from before, and while the main character, you'll hear something about it, but it is decidedly in the adult category, and it's the first in the Shadow's Path series. That's Not That Kind of Good Guy by John Ringo. Conspiracy theories meet superhero reality. It's there for anyone to see. There are dark forces at work on the world, working to destroy civilization. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to stand by and do nothing. For a generation, individuals have arisen with superpowers, able to change the course of history, or at least save a few lives. But these people have free will, and not all choose to work for the forces of good. We want someone with an unblotted... I don't know what that word is. A Galahad for the 21st century, someone pure of ethics and morality. What we get is Michael, the product of a broken childhood, raised in the foster system of one of America's most dangerous inner cities. His wisdom comes from drug addicts and whores. Maybe he's not the hero we asked for, but he's the hero we need. And he's about to hit puberty. Character might not be that old. Also, it might not be the main character. He could just be the book that the story's about and not be the main character. From the description, I'm not sure how to take that. We'll shift over to fantasy next, with the first one up being a sequel. I'm actually not sure if this is going to be a duology or series, trilogy, how it's going, but this is the Fates Thread series. The second book being The God and the Guaishin by Sophie Kim. I adored the first book with their banter and the wittiness. As you are following Setka the Fallen God, who is tasked to capture a certain number of demons that were unleashed upon the world centuries ago, during his own joking mission to take over the throne of the gods, because he is the younger brother of the Emperor of the Gods. It's Korean folklore as well. So it's taking place in Korea. And what I did not realize is it takes place in the 90s Korea. So that was very interesting, taking place back in time. And while you have him as a main character, and he's kind of jaded towards the world and upset about things, and his powers are very minimal. And then your other character is Hani, or the Scarlet Fox, a notorious gumiho who went on kind of a murder spree as she killed a lot of bad guys in the 1800s. And now she's very, very wanted. So she tries to keep things under wraps and not let anybody find out who she is. But in the first book, they end up having to work together to solve a series of horrible murders and stuff. And their personalities, oh my gosh, that's the banter. It was so cute and I loved it. And of course, feelings developed for each other. I can't say too much more, but this is the sequel. This, I think, taking place closer to nowadays, but not in our world, as it is taking place in the underworld on a cruise for the divine. The actual ship is called the SRC Flatliner. Then a quite different turn would be coming out on the 10th, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. It's set over 500 years. This tale of three sapphic vampires is a story about hunger, rage, and the ways in which women are told to be satiated even when they aren't. Santo Domingo de la Calzada, 1532. London, 1827. Boston, 2019. Three young women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high, one grows deep, and one grows wild. And all of them grow teeth. So very interesting sounding. And I do believe it is a full-length novel. It's not like a short story. Also coming out on the 10th is the first in the Witches Road duology, The Witch Roads by Kate Elliott. Status is hereditary, class is bestowed, trust must be earned. When an arrogant prince and his equally arrogant entourage get stuck in Orlander Halt as part of a brutal political intrigue, competent and sunny deputy courier Aline, once a child slave meant to shield noblemen from poisonous Paul, is assigned to guide him through the hills to reach his destination. When she warns him not to enter the haunted spires, the prince doesn't heed her advice, and a man who emerges from the towers isn't the same man who entered. So it sounds so interesting and so intriguing, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. On the 17th, we have the conclusion to the Age of Uprising trilogy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called itself a trilogy too. Engines of War by R.S. Ford. This one gives steampunk vibes, and I've just enjoyed the books so much, except for one of the main characters. And then the way that something happened at the end of the second book, I was so upset. From the first book, though, Engines of Empire, the nation of Torwall is run on the power of industry, and industry is run by the guilds. Chief among them are the Harkspurs, and their responsibility is to keep the gears of the empire running. It is exactly why matriarch Rosamund Harkspur sends each of her heirs to the far reaches of the nation to learn about how operations work. The oldest goes to a far army outpost, as he's in the army at the moment. The middle daughter is sent to an island where the gemstones that power their industry are mined to learn the business. Much to her chagrin, though, she believes her mother is sending her off to do something else. And the youngest is a gifted artificer who is studying at the capital. As each of the Harkspurs grapple with the many threats that face the nation within and without, they must finally prove themselves worthy of their empire, or their empire will fall apart. Fulren's youngest artificer story, he is so gifted, and I like his personality, and where his story goes, though, is so kind of sad, but intriguing. And how do you say her name? Tyrana, the daughter? Hers brings out the, oh my gosh, what in the world is actually happening aspects. Yes, I liked her spirit and stuff. Moving from there, though, to another series coming out on the 24th is The Last Vigilant by Mark A. Latham. In a world where magic is forgotten, monsters lurk in the dark woods and honorable soldiers are few, this utterly gripping epic fantasy tells the story of an out-of-practice wizard and a hot-headed sergeant who are thrust into the heart of a mystery that threatens to unravel their kingdom's fragile peace. Shunned by the soldiers he commands, haunted by past tragedies, Sergeant Holt Howley is a broken man, but the child of a powerful ally has gone missing, and war between once peaceful nations is on the horizon. So he and his squad have been sent to find a myth, a vigilant. They are rumored last survivor of an ancient and powerful order capable of performing acts of magic, finding the lost, but the vigilants disappeared decades ago. No one truly expects Howley to succeed. But based off the cover of the book, I think they do. Also coming out on the 24th is the conclusion to the Forsaken trilogy, Heart of the Weirdwood by R.J. Barker. The first book was starting when, in a world locked in eternal winter and haunted by prophecies, a young boy trains for years to become the Chosen One, only for another to rise and claim his place. 20 years later, Ankal lives a life of secrecy on the edges of the Krura's giant forest, hiding what he is, running from what he can do. But when he is forced to reveal his true nature, he sets off a sequence of events that will reveal secrets that will shake the bedrock of his entire world and expose lies that have persisted for generations. This whole series has sounded super cool, and yet I have not been able to start it. Moving into Romanatsy, which is actually just one author, but she has 2 books coming out this month. 2 books, and while related, they take place at different points in time of her world that she's created here. The first one, coming out on June 3rd, is The Monster and the Last Blood Match by K.A. Lindy. This is the first of the Blood Type trilogy. For Rihanna Carpenter, giving up her body isn't a choice, it's survival. In a world where humans are currency and vampires rule from the shadows, Rihanna accepts a high-paying position among the wealthy and ruthless elite. Her new job, a live-in blood escort for the enigmatic and dangerously powerful Beckham Anderson. She expects cruelty, she expects hunger, she expects to become his next meal. But Beckham won't drink from her, because there is something very, very different going on. And this takes place in her same world that the Oak and Holly cycle is, which the first book was The Wren in the Holly Library. And the sequel to that one is coming out on the 17th. That's The Robin on the Oak Throne by K.A. Lindy. From The Wren in the Holly Library, though, because this following the same character in that one. It says, 13 years ago, monsters emerged from the shadows and plunged Kirsty's world into a cataclysmic war of near total destruction. The New York City she knew will collapse practically overnight. Okay, I said that weird. In the wake of that carnage, the monster treaty was created, a truce of sorts. But tonight, Kirsty, a gifted and fearless thief, will break that treaty. She'll enter the Holly Library not knowing it's the home of the monster. And the tagline for the second book is, the only thing worse than fearing a monster is falling for one. Because it's going to be following the same 2 characters in The Robin and on the Oak Throne, as our thief is once again doing a thieving job. From Romanatsy, we shift to regular romance, though there is a paranormal coming out later in the month that could go either way, but I think probably it falls more into the paranormal romance than Romanatsy. First up on June 3rd, Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. Scotty Price has just started a new job, and it's a real sausage fest. She's the only woman on a team filled with Brads and Chads. Expecting a bachelor pad atmosphere, she's quickly corrected when she finds out everyone is happily married. In an effort to impress her boss, Scotty mentions her non-existent husband at a company meeting, but eagle-eyed Chad points out her lack of wedding ring. Panicked, Scotty creates a story about her unhappy marriage. Unfortunately for Scotty, her boss has a solution, a one-on-one session with the best marriage counselor in the Northeast, who just happens to be her boss's husband. With no way out of her lie, Scotty agrees to see him. Frantic, she calls in help from her best friend, who sets her up with his brother, an improv-obsessed millionaire. So we have the fake dating trope happening, and then somehow a work retreat is involved. And of course, the first rule of improv is to always say yes. Coming out on the 10th is the sequel for the Into Darkness trilogy. I didn't want to say "in" too many times. That's Caught Up by Navessa Allen. I think this one is highly, highly anticipated because people just seem to really like the first one. It's got the blue cover that I can't remember what it's called. And yes, this is a dark romance, stalker romance. This one is a he falls first, which I think the first one was as well. In the same city, world, interconnected characters even, because this one is following Junior, who was our female main character from the first book's older cousin. I don't know, the first book I really thought it made him sound like older, but I guess maybe he's not too much older. I don't know. Nico Jr. Trosi, it knows Lauren Marchetti is off limits. She is sweetness and laughter, whereas Junior exists in a world of violence and depravity. Men like him don't get to have women like her. It's why he pushed her away back in high school and kept his distance ever since. Except he looks her up on social media and finds the bookish, quiet girl seems to be gone. She works at a nightclub, I think, and thus the stalker portion starts to take place as he watches her from afar. He messages her over her social media, and we will have a split POV again from Nico and from Lauren. The first book, though, it had Fred, so I don't know how this one can account for that loss, that we probably won't have Fred. If you know, you know, because Fred was just... Then the one that's the paranormal romance that I guess could have gone either way with romance or romantasy, so I'll stop babbling, is An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating by Cecilia Edward, coming out on June 24th. Meet Thorn Scarheart, a 39-year-old witch who's having trouble finding love in the 17th century. Despite the local matchmaker's efforts and Thorn's arsenal of powerful love potions, she is yet to fall in love. After the disappearance of her sister and the loss of her mother, Thorn was too caught up in, life to focus on dating. Now she fears she may have missed her chance. But when one of her potion brews backfires spectacularly, Thorn is hurtled 350 years into the future, landing in a bustling city where her once isolated cottage is now a historical museum. While this unexpected leap through time may seem daunting, modern life does have its perks: indoor plumbing, electric kettles, and the world of online dating. At 39, the odds may not be perfect, but at least they're not impossible. I love the prospect of this one as an older female character finding love, and the time travel, dating, it just all sounds super fun. And she will be helped along by the curator of her cottage museum as she, gets integrated into modern life, and the curator's handsome veterinarian brother. I'll stop babbling and move into fiction now. The first one up, coming out on June 3rd, is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Joan Goodwin has been obsessed with the stars for as long as she can remember. Thoughtful and reserved, Joan is content with her life as a professor of physics and astronomy at Rice University, and is an aunt to her precocious niece, Frances. That is, until she comes across an advertisement seeking the first women scientists to join NASA's Space Shuttle program. Suddenly, Joan burns to be one of the few people to go into space. As the few new astronauts become unlikely friends and prepare for their first flights, Joan finds a passion and a love she never imagined. And in this new light, Joan begins to question everything she thinks she knows about her place in the observable universe. Then, in December of 1984, on mission STS-LR9, it all changes in an instant. True to her other books, this one is obviously historical fiction. I kind of dislike saying that about books that only take place in the 80s. But it is the past, I suppose. But it was tagged as historical fiction. It takes place in the past. Her books all take place in the past. Yes. Okay, that's all we're going to say about that. One that is more speculative in nature, and also it had the magical realism tag, and I'm not sure where that comes into play or fits in. This is coming out on June 17th, The Poppy Fields by Nikki Ehrlich. What if there was a cure for the broken-hearted? Welcome to the Poppy Fields, where there's hope for even the most battered hearts to heal. Here, in a remote stretch of the California desert, lies an experimental and controversial treatment center that allows those suffering from the heartache of loss to sleep through their pain and keep on sleeping. After patients awaken from this prolonged state of slumber, they will finally be healed, but only if they're willing to accept the potential shadowy side effects. And the book will follow a cast of characters on their journey to get to this place and meet the enigmatic billionaire creator of the program. Moving into YA, which I think they're all a bit fantastical, actually. The first one is on June 3rd, A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to say her name right. Troyan Sigas? Nope. Didn't choose to become a con artist, but after her father is lost at sea, it's up to her to support her mother and 2 younger sisters. A gifted art forger, True has the unique ability to paint the future, but even such magic is not enough to put her family back together again, or stave off the gangsters demanding payment in blood for her mother's gambling debts. Left with few options, True agrees to a marriage contract with a mysterious dragon lord. He offers a fresh start for her mother and sisters and elusive answers about her father's disappearance, but in exchange, she must join him in his desolate undersea palace, and she must assist him in a plot to infiltrate the tyrannical Dragon King's inner circle, painting a future so treacherous it could upend both the mortal and immortal realms. So there's a lot happening there, a lot happening. Then on the 10th, we have A Girl Walks into the Forest by Madeleine Rowe. For as long as she can remember, Val has been told her beauty would give her life most people only dreamed of. So when the mysterious Count Leon calls on her to be his betrothed, Vala jumps at the chance to leave her small, bleak village. The only thing standing in her way, the journey through the dangerous Gotaya wood that many don't survive. Filled with deadly and cunning creatures, the Gotaya immediately delivers on its reputation with an attack that leaves Vala injured, her face torn to shreds. Barely making it to the castle in one piece, Vala is relieved to finally be safe. But things have changed. Vala's face is no longer beautiful, and the Count is not happy. Vala thought making it through the woods was a victory, but when she sees what awaits beyond the palace walls, the true battle begins. So it's a story of a girl finding her own power and worth. Finally, on the 24th, we have Embrace the Serpent by Sonia Mara. The Serpent King is the most eligible bachelor in the land, a monster with dark and terrible magic and the ruler of the last free kingdom. Riches and power await his future bride, but so does a life forever trapped in the games of the court. That fate is 18-year-old Saphara's worst nightmare. Ever since the Empire made her an orphan, she's found freedom in being invisible. So despite her rare gift of harnessing the magic in gemstones, she lets an unscrupulous gemsmith take credit for her increasingly sought-after work. But when the king sends his most clever huntsman to find the best jewelsmith of all, the spotlight lands on Saphara. Faced with choosing between falling into the Empire's grasp or marrying a monster, she chooses the latter. Love triangle, it sounds like. Love triangle. We end on mystery thrillers. The first one coming out on June 10th is definitely more maybe in the thrillery aspect, but there is a hint of a mystery happening. King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. When eldest son Roman Carthurs is summoned home after his father's car accident, he finds his youngest brother Dante in debt to dangerous criminals and his sister Neva exhausted from holding the family and the family business together. Neva and their father, who run the Carthurs crematorium in the rundown central Virginia town of Jefferson Run, see death up close every day. But mortality draws even closer when it becomes clear that the crash that landed their father in a coma was no accident, and Dante's recklessness has placed all of them in real danger. Roman, a financial whiz with a head for numbers and a talent for making his clients rich, has some money to help buy his brother out of trouble. But in his work with wannabe tough guys, he's forgotten that there are real gangsters out there. As his bargaining chips go up in smoke, Roman realizes that only one thing left to offer save his brother, himself, and his own particular set of skills. I don't know if this is a standalone or a series. Our next one up is supposed to be the start of a series, but we'll see how it plays. The Ex-Girlfriend Murder Club by Gloria Shao, coming out on June 24th. The body in the closet was going to be a problem. Catherine Who knew it? Yes, Tucker Jones was a cheating scumbag, and yes, she'd agreed to meet Olivia and Elle, Tucker's other girlfriends, to exact revenge for all he'd put them through. But then they found him dead. Do they look guilty? Yes. Do they feel guilty for having wished him dead just hours before? Maybe a little. But solid motive and a crime scene covered in their DNA aside, they're innocent. They swear. To clear their names, Kat, Olivia, and Elle team up to find the real killer. But as they go undercover and lie to everyone, including the hot detective working the case, they realize that every person in their ex's life had a reason to want him dead. We've come to the end of our June list, and of course there are so many more books releasing in June than the ones I covered here. So if there are any more that you want to let people know about, feel free to drop them in the comments down below so people can go check them out. I hope, though, that maybe you were able to find one either of a series that's concluding that you want to go pick up now, or that you didn't know was coming out, or one of the new series that you might want to try out now. And as always, I hope you're finding something great to read today, and I will see you in the next one.